Okay, this one is Mr. Spears used Britney's estate to enrich himself and those loyal or useful to him. Shocker. Some of Jamie's first moves as temporary conservator in 2008 were to rid Britney's circle of individuals who were willing to advocate on her behalf in the face of his and TriStar's demands. So, first thing I'm going to do as conservator is cut off everybody who is willing to help you or anybody that you can talk to. I'm going to cut off all those people, so your only chance is to talk to the conservator, to stay in team conservator, and just talk to us about everything. Nobody to advocate for her, no one for her to talk to. First thing we got to do, cut out everybody who's willing to help her, and then make her do everything we say, earn all this money, keep it all. As noted above, Jamie installed his friend, Lou Taylor, and her company, TriStar, as business manager for the estate. At the time, Miss Taylor and TriStar were already registered agents for one of Jamie's business entities and were also business managers for Britney's sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. As noted above, Jamie was indebted to TriStar for a personal loan in early 2008. Mr. Spears also replaced his daughter's prior security detail with black box security owned by his friend Edan Yemeni, which, according to the same above reference QuickBook data reviewed by Kroll, was ultimately paid almost $6 million from Britney Spears' estate. Bottle that rage, guys. There's more. Although Mr. Spears contended that his daughter needed the conservatorship because she was incapable of caring for herself or her affairs, Jamie was intent on ensuring that she continued to generate significant earnings, a sizable portion of which he distributed to himself and those in his inner circle. Almost immediately after the conservatorship was made permanent, he had Britney embark on an international tour, and he petitioned the court to be paid a percentage of the tour's gross revenues in addition to the already handsome six-figure salary he was already being paid as conservator. Since he had to leave the smoothie shop, he needs a six-figure salary as conservator. Now he wants a percentage of Britney's tour revenue as well. That should have never happened, ever. The court should have never approved that. This arrangement allowed him to profit directly from Britney's labor and incentivized him to maximize Britney's output regardless of whether that and her exhausting schedule were in her best interest. So that's a big reason why the court should have never approved him to get a profit of her money, because all that is going to do is make him force her to work as much as possible so he can get more money. I mean, he's already getting paid a six-figure salary for taking care of her affairs. Why does he need a portion of her tour earnings? What was the reason there, and why did the court allow that? I don't know. Throughout the conservatorship, Jamie committed his daughter to record multiple studio albums and perform on several additional tours, including a multi-year residency in Las Vegas, among countless other endeavors, until Britney finally refused in 2019 to continue working such a grueling schedule. Britney's former music director, Mark Delcourt, who worked closely with Britney on the circus tour and the Las Vegas residency, and he's worked with multiple other artists, told her that Jamie worked his daughter to the bone, and she was often and understandably exhausted from the workload. He recounted several instances in which Britney told him she was just so tired and needed a break, or needed to sleep. Delcourt also described how Jamie and TriStar would routinely force Britney against her wishes to sing first thing in the morning, something he said is very uncommon in the industry and that no singer should be forced to do, certainly against her wishes, his or her wishes. To his dismay, Mr. Delcourt was told by Britney's team that her early morning work was scheduled around her lithium doses in order to take advantage of the hours when she was supposedly most productive as a result of the lithium medication that she was forced to take, which, upon information and belief, is a very strong and adequate drug. So they're forcing her to take lithium first thing in the morning, and they're forcing her to sing first thing in the morning right after taking that lithium. Jamie routinely removed individuals who were not loyal to him. Based on my investigation, it is apparent that Jamie often sought to silence individuals who spoke out against him or the conservatorship. For example, Britney's former assistant and longtime friend, Felicia, everybody loves Fee, explained that upon gaining control of his daughter's affairs, Jamie fired her business manager and eventually prevented Felicia from being near Britney. Felicia, who had been close to Britney since she was a child, often wasn't even allowed to have a conversation with Britney without others present. She was eventually told by Jamie that she needed to leave because Britney did not want her there. Felicia later learned that this was a lie to keep her away from Britney. Similarly, Britney's former wardrobe coordinator, Trish Yates, revealed that Britney was tortured and recounted that in instances when Britney did try to stand up for herself, Jamie would threaten to keep her from seeing her young sons as a means of control. Yates was also abruptly let go after an incident when she tried to help Britney. Similarly, I hate that word, I can never say it. Mr. Delcourt, who had worked with Britney for almost 20 years, was suddenly terminated in the middle of tour for no specific reason. Although it is apparent that it was because Jamie was trying to punish Britney by removing anyone with whom she was close or confided in. Britney's tour manager, Dan George, was also observed similar controlling conduct, saying, quote, "The first rule of the conservatorship was that you do not talk about the conservatorship." What the hell is this? Fight Club? The first rule of Fight Club is... He said he was warned, quote, "Be careful, don't get too close. People have a way of disappearing." I guess that means that you'll get fired, but I swear when I hear that, it means that it means people get killed. I mean, that's what it's always meant to be, like that's in the movies and stuff, but I don't know. Mr. Spears also replaced Britney's former nanny, Lourdes Torres. Media reports later indicates that Torres left her job with Britney because she was so disturbed by what was being done to Britney and how she was being, quote, emotionally manipulated by the conservatorship. Furthermore, Alec Vlasov, a former employee of Black Box Security, told me that anyone on Britney's security detail who was sympathetic to Britney or who questioned any of the extreme measures taken to control and subjugate her was removed. What the hell is this? This literally sounds like worse than prison. This sounds like a living nightmare. I can't, oh my God. So they're going to treat her horribly. But if anybody was even at all, I don't know, if anybody was even sympathetic to her at all, they are just taken out of her life. It's awful. They treated her less than nothing, and it disgusts me, and these people need to pay for what they've done. It goes on. Mr. Spears directed Black Box Security to use a variety of surveillance methods to invade the privacy of Britney Spears and others, which raised criminal implications for Mr. Spears. On September 24th, 2021, the New York Times published a documentary front page exposed entitled "The Surveillance Apparatus That Surrounded Britney Spears," which revealed that, at the very least, Jamie grossly violated his daughter's privacy by directing Black Box Security, the company charged with protecting Britney, to surreptitiously capture her communications in her most private moments. That's gross and illegal, by the way. Based on information obtained from a former employee of Black Box, whistleblower Alex Vlasov, the Times reported that Jamie and Black Box, quote, ran an intense surveillance apparatus that monitored her communications and secretly captured audio recordings from her bedroom, including her interactions and conversation with her boyfriend, gross, and children. What the F? How disgusting is this man? How does that help him? Well, technically, I guess he'll be able to know if she's, getting close to finding a way out. But, ew. Ugh, you guys. Following publications for these troubling allegations, I personally debriefed and interviewed the whistleblower, Alex Vlasov, at the Bel Air Hotel in Los Angeles at the direction of counsel for Britney, and I corroborated the Times reporting on Jamie's extensive surveillance efforts, including of Britney's attorney-client communications and private conversations in her bedroom. Based upon my training and experience, including a special agent with the FBI, and having debriefed and interviewed many hundreds of individuals and witnesses, I concluded that Mr. Vlasov was highly credible. She says, at the outset, it is worth noting that Mr. Vlasov told me it was very clear that Black Box Security treated Jamie, not his daughter, as its client. So Britney wasn't the client, Jamie was. It was very clear to him that that was what was going on. Jamie Spears directed Black Box to surreptitiously mirror Britney's iPhone content contemporaneously and in real time. Black Box was already monitoring Britney's phone when Mr. Vlasov began working there in 2012. When Alex expressed concern to Mr. Yemeni told Alex not to worry and that the monitoring was supposedly authorized. At first, Black Box used a USB-based software program that monitored Britney's BlackBerry. However, this software did not work well on Apple devices. Britney switched from a BlackBerry to an iPhone in or around 2013, causing a temporary cessation. I'm going to look that up because I feel stupid. I feel ridiculous. There's so many words here that I don't even know and I can't read, and I feel like I'm I don't know if I just can't read today. What is going on? Okay.
Cessation.
See, I'm I didn't know that. Okay, so Britney switched from her BlackBerry to an iPhone in 2013, causing a temporary cessation of monitoring. So a temporary halt of monitoring. Jamie expressed great concern about not having visibility into his daughter's phone activity during this time. You guys, I cannot have this. I cannot see what Britney is doing 24/7. I cannot look down in a blink of an eye and see exactly what she's doing and talking to, and you need to fix this right now. Accordingly, Alex was tasked by Blackbox and Yemeni with finding monitoring software and installing it as a hidden app on Britney's iPhone. A few different solutions were tried, most of which captured text messages, phone call logs, notes, and app activity, and one which captured phone conversations. Alex was tasked with reviewing the monitored content and relaying that information through Edon to Jamie. Sometimes Alex provided information on Britney's monitored communications directly to Jamie. Alex noted that the iPhone monitoring solutions functions poorly when Apple pushed out their new iOS updates, so it didn't work very good when Apple did like their update. So for that reason, Jamie wanted a different solution to avoid gaps in monitoring. So like, I guess when Apple would push out its new updates, it wouldn't function correctly for a little while. So Jamie wanted them to find a different solution because he didn't want any gaps in the monitoring. He wanted to see every single thing she was doing and saying every day. That shit makes me sick. Mr. Valsoff told me that in around 2015, at Robin Greenhill's suggestion, Jamie instructed Blackbox to mirror the contents of Britney's iCloud to a separate device that could be reviewed. At the time, Alex told his boss, Edon, that they should not monitor the phone in this way because it made the contents of Britney's iCloud vulnerable to intrusion, which is a big deal if you're...
It's Britney, bitch.
Exactly. It could allow malicious third parties and stalkers and anybody to compromise Britney's private information and make it public. I mean, that's how people can hack into iClouds, and, you know, if it's easy to do it because of this software, you probably shouldn't do it. But Edon Yemedi relayed Alex's concerns to Jamie and Robin Greenhill, but they said that they were willing to take that risk. Of course they were. Upon receiving Mr. Spears' instructions, Blackbox purchased an iPad, which was then linked to Britney's iCloud account, allowing the contents of Britney's iPhone, which was backed up to her iCloud, to simultaneously be accessed and reviewed from that iPad. So they went ahead and bought the iPad and did that crap to it so they could simultaneously access and review whatever Britney was doing on her iPhone. They can review it on their own personal device. How great is that? The iPad was kept in a safe in Blackbox's office. Okay. Yemeni or Alex would regularly review the iPad contents, text messages, videos, and other personal data mirrored from Britney's iPhone, and they would put the data in encrypted folders before sending them to Jamie for his review. How nice. So they put them in encrypted folders and then sent them over to Jamie, probably through email or something. So, like, if you saw it, you wouldn't know what it really was because it was encrypted. So, like, if somebody just happened to see his emails that they're digging into now, they probably wouldn't be the wiser at first. Well, how thoughtful of them, right? Oh my God. This is so disgusting, all of it, but it gets worse, you guys. It gets worse. Hang in there. According to Alex, Black Box sent Britney's personal communications to Jamie at his explicit request. Jamie would on occasion ask Black Box to send him specific items from Britney's iCloud, such as therapy notes or text messages. But it should be noted that Jamie was well aware that he was expressly prohibited from reviewing Britney's therapy notes without her permission. But that didn't matter, did it? Following his removal as conservator of the person in 2019. So, after 2019, he is prohibited. Okay. In fact, after Jamie expressed displeasure to counsel for the conservator in April 2019 that he didn't, quote, have power to see her physics records. Counsel explained to him that he would need Britney's permission to see notes on what she discussed with her physician. So he basically expressed his displeasure to counsel for the conservator that he didn't have the power to review those anymore. Communications between Britney and her personal court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, were among the private communications that Black Box and Jamie monitored, which is a big no-no. Alex told me that Mr. Spears was particularly, it's just like similarly, Mr. Spears was particularly interested in his daughter's attorney-client communications and wanted regular updates from Black Box on the substance of those privileged messages. Surveillance of Britney's communications with her lawyer continued until at least 2020, when Edan Yemeni instructed Alex to cease reviewing attorney-client privilege communications. Oh. Well, that was actually on the same day he gave those instructions. Edan Yemeni forwarded Alex an email from Sam Ingham to counsel for the conservator and Yemeni, among others, with the subject line, Britney's phone. In that email, Mr. Ingham sought confirmation from conservators' counsel that in connection with the purchase of a new phone from Britney, no one other than Britney can access her calls, voicemails, or text directly or indirectly. Okay, so Britney knew somehow. She somehow knew something was going on. Hi, Cloudy. It's a cloudy day. Hello. She somehow knew something was going on, and she told that to Sam Ingham, and Sam Ingham sent them an email, like, letting them know, with the subject line, Britney's phone. And then on that same day, they just happened to give the instructions for them to cease looking at Britney's phone. Not a coincidence. The following day, Geraldine Weil, counsel for the conservator, responded to Mr. Ingham in relevant part, quote, Jamie confirms that he has no access to her calls, voicemails, or text, end quote. Key word there being has. He no longer has any access. We stopped doing that yesterday. It's okay. We stopped doing that yesterday. He has no access. It's okay. Miss Weil went on to say, quote, we don't know if Britney has given access to those items to anyone else. for example, her boyfriend or children, end quote. So they're saying, oh, they don't know if Britney might have given access to her boyfriend or her children. That's real nice. Yeah, blame them when you guys know you're doing it. But she did not state that Jamie and Black Box had been systematically accessing Britney's text messages and other communications for years, including her communications with Mr. Ingham. I have reviewed a copy of this email exchange dated August 23rd and August 24th, 2020, which was provided by Conservators Counsel to John Zabel. Yeah, they provided that to John Zabel because they didn't see anything wrong with it, because they're just saying, yeah, we don't have any access, but they didn't know that they knew all this other stuff too. Yeah. Regardless of whether the surveillance of Britney's attorney-client communications did in fact stop in August of 2020, Alex told me that the monitoring of other content on Britney Spears' phone did not cease until early 2021. So they didn't stop looking at Britney's phone until last year, like this time last year. That's a long time. It's horrible. That is a long time to not have any privacy. That's so disgusting. Britney's right. Prisoners are treated better than she was. Up until that time, Alex regularly overheard Mr. Yemeni updating Jamie on the contents of the phone devices used by his daughter. You remember all that bullshit that Jamie said early last year in all those documents, Jamie was not around during that time and he has no idea. He was not around during this time and he wasn't there around this time and he just had no idea about any of this. Are you sure? Because it looked like Britney couldn't take a shit without him knowing. Just saying. The New York Times reported in its September 24th, 2021, exposed that it had reviewed screenshots of messages shared by Alex Valsoff, which corroborate that Jamie monitored his daughter's text message conversations with her mother, her boyfriend, her close friends, and her court-appointed lawyer. In addition, I have personally reviewed communications provided to me by Mr. Valsoff from his personal devices, which evidence black box monitoring of Britney's communications and further confirms that Black Box had within its possession copies of Jamie's attorney-client, or had in possession copies of Britney's attorney-client privilege communications with her court-appointed attorney obtained through surveillance. That was a mouthful. I'm sorry. Okay. So they are saying that they have Black Box, he corroborated that Black Box has in their possession copies of Britney's attorney-client privilege communications with her court-appointed attorney, obtained by them through surveillance, illegal surveillance. Oh my God, you guys. I can't stand it. The rage. And she goes on to say that everything that they are doing is a federal crime and yada yada.